we got to go over Pudgy Penguins because as you can see, Pudgy Penguins is up 50% in the last 7 days. So in the last week, it's been up 50%. And Bitcoin has been going up, and so has a lot of meme coins as well. So it's pretty good to see this. But another thing about Pudgy Penguins is since it's launched, it's been inside of the top trending on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap since the day of its launch. It's been there and it has not left a single day, probably here and there one day or two. But for the most part, it's always inside of the top trending. Just felt like I should mention that about Pudgy Penguins. But anyways, we're going to talk about what I think is happening next here on Pudgy Penguins. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, but let's get straight into it. So like I was mentioning before, always in the top trending is Pudgy Penguins. They're doing a lot inside of the retail space as well. As you can see, they're now stepping into the Korean market, just like NBA Youngboy. They're stepping into the Korean market too, just a different kind of market, But like you can see, they also have already taken over the American market, right? They're already taking over Target and everything like that. And you can see here that they're saying, fun fact, thanks to our partnership with Target, 75% of Americans live within 10 miles of a store that sells Pudgy Penguins products. So that's actually pretty big. That's pretty big. Approximately 30 million people visit Target every single week, which is a crazy statistic. But yeah, they're inside of there. And they also have exchanges like Gemini promoting them as well. And like I mentioned before with the Korean markets as well, embracing Pudgy Penguins, it could go parabolic from here. But this guy here says, Pudgy Penguins could go parabolic here if we don't flip bearish again. And I think that's the same for Bitcoin and for all cryptos right now. This is like a make or break moment of Bitcoin entering into the bull market, right? So if Bitcoin actually enters into the bull market from here, breaks past 83, breaks past 89K Fibonacci resistance up here, and the Fibonacci resistance we're at now at 80K. If we can do that, then Bitcoin would be entering into a bull market. And then the same thing would be true for Pudgy Penguins. Pudgy Penguins would then be pushing up to 0.014, right? So it'll be at 1.5 cents at that point. So there's the possibility that that could happen if this is indeed the bull market, right? And then you have people like this who said that he's held Pudgy Penguins from 40K bag down to a 5K bag and now holding back to a 100K bag. Now that's pretty crazy. People will hold and hold and hold until the end with this coin. And that's why I believe Pudgy Penguins will, do the numbers I was talking about before, right? Because when we were in the bull market last time, before we entered the bear market, I was super bullish on Pudgy Penguins. I was like, oh, I believe it's going to get to this point. But then the bear market just hit us like a wrecking ball. And then I immediately switched bearish once I noticed. I was like, yep, this is bear market territory now. But I still believe that Pudgy Penguins could get all the way up to 10 cents and beyond. Like I do believe that Pudgy Penguins can do something like that. And that's always been my prediction here with it, right? When we look to the top of the Fibonacci, it's at about 18 cents for that, right? And if we go ahead and do the math here, we can take the amount that we have on the circulating supply here, which is a good amount, 62.8 billion here. If I can get this copied here. Okay, 62.8 billion coins for our circulating supply multiplied by that price at the top of the Fibonacci, 18 cents. That would give us $11.3 billion in market cap. So I think that it's possible for Pudgy Penguins to do something like that, right? I think it's possible for it to get all the way up there. It's always been one of the most trending projects since it came out, and it's never not been one of the most trending projects since it came out, right? Even all the way to the way down, and now that it's kind of bottomed out. And you can see here it has bottomed out. And it's funny because, I kept mentioning 0.005 as that level, and that's kind of how it happened, right? Going between 0.006 and 0.005, right? It didn't really want to stay at 0.005 for too long. But nonetheless, I think that Pudgy Penguins could see 18, let's just say 20 cents, right? I think that could be something that we could see inside of this run. If you look at the market cap at the peak, Pudgy Penguins got all the way up to 2.4, 2.5. So somewhere around there, 2.5 billion, 2.7 billion, it's saying there. So yeah, about 2.8 billion, let's say that. So I got up to like 2.8 billion market cap. I think 11 billion plus is definitely possible for this. But let's do a technical analysis on Pudgy Penguins to see what I think is about to happen next when it comes to Pudgy Penguins, right? So currently we're looking at the daily chart here on Pudgy Penguins. So the first few things that I noticed when we look at the daily chart is that we've already blowed past this 200-day moving average, which is the white line here, and the 50-day moving average, which is the red line. And in the most simplest way possible, just think of it as when we're above those moving averages, we're bullish. When we're below those moving averages, we're bearish, right? And now we're sitting above those moving averages. So for right now, it is looking bullish because we're above those moving averages, right? So that's one thing that I'm noticing here on the daily chart with Pudgy Penguins. Then when you look at the MACD, you can see all that buying pressure coming in, but it does look like a little bit of selling pressure is kind of stepping in from here. Same thing when you look at the percent R trend exhaustion on the daily chart. It's starting to curve over a little bit here, almost like a little bit of a selling period is coming in, but we don't know how much it's going to be by, right? And then you can pull up the weekly chart here, and you can see now it's starting to create some movement here on the weekly chart because Pudgy Penguins is fairly new, and the weekly chart is a long-term chart. But now it's starting to be able to read it. And the first thing that it's reading is kind of funny because that is what we call bullish divergence on our charts. That's when you see higher lows on the MACD while simultaneously getting lower lows on the chart. Now, obviously, we have been getting lower lows this whole time because we've been in a bear market. But now we're at the tail end, which is pretty much the end of that bullish divergence, which means now we're entering the bullish mode of that bullish divergence, right? It diverts till that bullishness comes in, and then boom, bullishness comes in, and then it breaks out. That's pretty much what the bullish divergence is, right? And that's exactly what's happening in Pudgy Penguins right now. And on the weekly chart, it's right at the bridge of breaking the 50-day moving average. Because as you can see here, it broke the 200-day moving average right here, and now it's trying to break the 50-day moving average. If it breaks the 50-day moving average and then continues up, now for the long term, it's now bullish, right? In the short term, it's bullish when we look at the daily chart, right? Because we're above both of those moving averages, but we're still below the 50-day moving average on the weekly chart, which means short term, we're bullish. Long term, the bears are still having it until we can break past this area here on Pudgy Penguins and then start exploring new highs, going past this Fibonacci at 0.014. That is when the bulls will really step in for Pudgy Penguins. All right. Now, we also have the shorter time frame, the 4-hour chart. And as you can see here, I have a rising wedge formed out here. And that rising wedge played out, as expected, because rising wedges are bearish patterns. Now, with this rising wedge, I don't know how far we're going to pull back, but I would assume it's going to come back down to 0.008, right? And 0.008 is pretty much the same level as the 50-day moving average on the 4-hour chart. It's also the support level, and it's a major support level that we've seen used as resistance several times and as support several times. We've seen this level be used for the longest time. Even at the beginning of the project, this level was being used. And let me go ahead and show you guys that on the daily, you can see it all the way back here. On June 2025, you can see that level was being used back there. Same as March 2026 as resistance, and February 2026. So it's an important level for you to recognize, right? So as we come back down here, we're going to see if we go below 0.008. If we go below 0.008, then we're bearish, right? And then something like this might happen where you see it coming back up and then dumping again and then forming a head and shoulders pattern. So that's kind of what it looks like is happening right now. Head and shoulders patterns are bearish patterns, right? So you have the shoulder here, and then you have the head up here. And then from there, you have the other shoulder, and then it breaks down from there. And then you have the neckline, right? So that's pretty much a head and shoulders pattern. So there's a possibility that that's what it's creating. And there's a possibility that Bitcoin could be creating that too. So I'm going to be watching out for this because Bitcoin is inside of the same region as well, with the same rising wedge and the same possible head and shoulders pattern. right? So I'll see if Bitcoin does this as well. But yeah, it's hard to tell at this point. Very, very, very hard to tell. But I will keep you guys updated on that. And that's pretty much all I got here for Pudgy Penguins. Also, when you look at the 4-hour chart, this is called bearish divergence on the MACD. And if you look here, bearish divergence is higher highs on the charts and lower highs on the MACD. And if you look at the 4-hour chart, you can see you're having these lower highs on the MACD and you're having these higher highs being created on the chart. So that's bearish divergence. The real question is it done yet? Or are we going to see more buying pressure and then another buying wave, which then in terms would create another higher high and push Pudgy Penguin's price more than likely up to 1 cent finally, 0.012 to be exact. That's the resistance up there. But we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. And we just got to wait. That's all we got to do. We got to wait and see if we get that buying pressure coming in. And then if that buying pressure starts coming in, then that means it's going to create that higher high. So yeah, that's what we're looking like there. And then you can kind of see the percent R trend exhaustion selling off on the 4-hour chart. So there's a chance that, you know, the bullish case might not happen. And there's a chance that the head and shoulders could be the one that happens and then continues to break down from there. There's a possibility that that could happen. So keep that in mind. But yep, this is all I got for you guys today. This video was for the member of the channel. Big shout out to you. If you guys want to make requests like this for me to go over videos and go over different cryptos, go ahead and become a member of the channel. It's only $9.99 per month. All you got to do is click that join button and then comment on any one of my videos like he did and be like, hey, can you go over this? And then I'm going to go over it. So big shout out to the member that recommended this video. And yep, this is all I got for you guys today. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment in the comment section. As always, I'll be back with another video.